One of the other things that are really nice about Sauvignon Blanc is that if it is bone dry, it pairs up well with other foods, especially foods that, well, some people don't like shellfish, but
you were
in
telling
particular,
me about that one.
yeah, oysters on the half shell really pair up well with a good bone dry Sauvignon Blanc.
I love it.
Yeah.
What about, I think it will go well with salads, maybe.
Yeah, actually, because you can probably sense that there's a lot of grapefruit. That's the base of this wine. Anything that has a citrus base in a salad, like if you have a little bit of lemon or even to a point light vinaigrette or something like that, really pairs up well with this. Then there's also the fruit factor. You know, all your melons, you know, and things like that would go great.
Big fruit
yeah.
plate. Delicious. Love it. Cheers.
Light cheeses too.
Very good wine. Oh, it smells so good. Shall we try the Rosato?
Rosato, yeah. The name actually, it's more of an Italian to be able to kind of go with the Sangiovese nature of the grape. But it's done in a rosé style. Rosés have several different ways that you can make the wine. In this particular case, what we do is, as you make a red wine, you have an opportunity about 6 to 12 hours down the road to be able to bleed the juice off when it gets to a particular color. And then instead of going from there and making it in a red wine style, you take that product and make it in a white wine style, which is much more controlled temperature.
So it will be not as high. The temperature will be like.
Yeah, the temperature would be in the 60s. That's a place that's really nice to make a rosé, and again with the selection of yeast and how you guide that wine to its finish, you get a chance to make something that's fresh and vibrant. In this particular case, this wine has a real nice bouquet. I call it a pomegranate. Other people, I refer to it more like a carnival cotton candy, but I think pomegranate really holds for this.
It smells to die for.
Yeah, and then the other unique thing about this one is that it's also hard to be able to allow a rosé to finish with any tannin structure. The tannin is what ends up being chalky on the tongue, or an astringent taste, makes you want to pucker. And because you've bled the juice off from the red grapes at a time where the skins don't get a chance to give off the tannins, it's hard to retain that. In this particular case, it's got just enough tannin base on the back that it surprises you, because you're not expecting that from a rosé.
I want to be surprised right about now. It smells so good. I love it. What will this wine go with as far as food or desserts?
I'll tell you. This happens to be one of the wines that when friends come over to my house, I'll pull this out first. Mostly because it's unique in terms of how it presents itself. And then from there, it segues so nicely into fruits and vegetables and crackers that way. And then before you know it, you're drinking the same glass of wine and having salmon or a variety of spaghetti or anything. As long as it's not really overwhelmed with heavy sauces. Or again, a real big spicy
take away
nature.
The delicious flavor of it.
Yeah, it would.
Overpower it.
But it's a really nice wine that fits a lot of categories. When you have people that maybe they only drink white wine,
or they're new to wine drinking,
they find themselves pleasantly surprised by drinking a rosé, and this one in particular.
Delicious. Now, my favorite, the red.
Ah, yes. Yes.
The red. I am big time in the red wine. I love it.
Well,
I don't drink much of it, but, you know, my glass of red wine once a week, good for the heart.
It's good for the heart, good for the lungs, good for the spirit, too. Yeah. The winery, Fallbrook Winery, this is where we put a lot of energy. We have a lot of Bordeaux class grapes. We do some Rhone-style grapes there, too, but we're trying to find the expression of what that place actually can provide in terms of making a good wine. It happens to be that the Cabernet Sauvignon grape does great there. The Merlot is a fantastic grape to grow in the Fallbrook region. And when you make a Bordeaux, in this case, what you're taking is standalone grapes like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Cab Franc, and Malbec, and you're trying to blend to a level that basically expresses the best that you can do
Right.
as a craft. So what we did here was we have established what I would call a winery profile signature, and have come up with a blend of those grapes from our vineyard that truly expresses what we're trying to get from the region. That region of Fallbrook has a very unique weather pattern that is not the same as it is 15 miles or 16 miles away in Temecula. There's
Right.
more coastal influence, and with that comes a difference in temperature, and then there's of course the nutrients in the ground, in the soil. Everything's completely different. So when we make this, it's made in 100% French oak,
Oh, okay.
and they're brand new barrels. It will stay in that French barrel for the first 6 months of its life, and then
Oh, I love it.
the winemakers and the owners get together, and we start to then grade the wine to see whether or not we need to downgrade it, because everything in winemaking is a balance. We're trying to balance the oak influence with the
What is
fruit, with the fruit that the grapes give you, along with the alcohol that's produced and the acidity, and then again on the tail end the tannins.
Then how long would you say the fermentation process would be for this particular wine?
That wine takes really close to about 20 days to go through its complete fermentation, and you're trying to prevent the temperature from going too high, but you also don't want it to go too low. So you try to get a good consistent
Where do you
fermentation
keep
going.
it normally, the temperature?
70 degrees, 80 degrees, depending on the wine style and what you're trying to influence. Every one is different. It's just like baking bread or actually cooking a steak, you know. You cook a steak on high versus on low, you get a different turnout. Same thing's true
Very
with
true.
with making wine.
This will go great with a steak now that you're talking
Yeah.
about the steak.
Yeah. Now you'll notice
This will
on
be
the
it.
on the end of this that you'll taste a lot more of that tannin
Yes.
structure, that chalkiness. That happens to be the chalkiness. The tannins are what, with a good steak, blend with the blood of the steak, and that's what makes that ambrosia that people are looking
I love
for
that word.
when
I
they're
love
looking
it.
for a good red wine with a steak.
Well, let me ask you now. You were actually telling me you guys have a special Fallbrook Winery this weekend coming up, and what is that all about? Can you tell
Well,
us?
you know, it's funny because we have a lot of influence and a lot of presence in San Diego County, but we don't see a lot of people and visitors from up north. So I was talking to the owner and I said, well, what do you say we have a free wine tasting weekend at the winery for counties north of San Diego? Right.
Perfect.
So he said, sure, that sounds great. So we're going to host a free tasting weekend for the
Very
residents
nice.
of the counties north.
I am a resident.
Well, then you should actually come.
I'm gonna go over there
Yeah.
to my wine tasting, and if we want to do this wine tasting over there, what's the location and the phone number to reach you guys?
Yeah. The address is 2554 Via Rancheros, and you should be forewarned, do not use Google Maps.
Okay.
And the reason why is
You get lost.
It's best to either, if you want to access us through Fallbrook on Mission Road, or
website?
use the map on our website.
And what is your website?
Website is fallbrookwinery.com, of course, with the www.
Of course.
And our phone number is 760-728-0156.
Perfect. Well, thank you so very much, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you this weekend to do some more wine tasting. Thank
It'd
you
be
very
great.
much.
It'd be
Cheers.
Good to see you. Cheers.
And for you folks, we'll be right back right after the break.